Good morning, dear participants. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good morning to all of you. I think in our earlier session we were doing new criticism, if I am not wrong. All those who attended in the earlier session. Right? Yeah, as I told you, in terms of division of the syllabus, which I am going to share with you, this is, you will be, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We can
Yeah,
hear.
yeah. Yeah, if you have an instruction material in front of you, please open it. And my part, as I already told you, it will be Unit 1, Lessons 1 to 6 of Unit 1. And Unit 2, Lessons 7 to 9. Okay, I will be discussing with you. And Unit 3, Lesson 14 to 15. Okay, and Unit 4, Lesson 16 to 17. Okay, so altogether it would be 6. How many lessons altogether, if you can count? How many lessons? Can anyone of you tell me?
Total 12 lessons, ma'am.
How many?
12. First unit 6 lessons.
Uh-huh.
Second unit, 7, 8, 9. 3 lessons.
Mm-hmm.
9. So 14 and 15 third unit.
Mm.
16 and 17.
Mm.
4 plus 9. 13 lessons, ma'am.
Okay, out of 25 lessons, I am doing 13 lessons with you. Okay, so remaining would be done by my colleague, Dr. Sharada. Okay, so as I discussed in my first session, new criticism, right? In my first session that we had on last Friday, we discussed new criticism, and Saturday, because of another assignment, I was unable to meet you. And today is my second session. And Saturday's session, I shall rearrange it sometime later. And today we'll be doing lessons 14 and 15. Roland Barthes' Death of the Author, where in Unit 1, lessons 1 to 6, you have structuralism and post-structuralism. Okay, so those concepts of structuralism and post-structuralism would be discussed on par with the essay which is prescribed, The Death of the Author. Okay, so it would be a continuation of the concept and the essay which is prescribed for you. Because we have very less time and lot of syllabus, I made few PPTs to help you in understanding the essay easily. So I'll be presenting the PPT and then we would be discussing point wise. Is that clear what I told you now? Can you tell me which lesson we are discussing now?
New criticism and 15th lesson, ma'am.
14th and 15th lesson. What is the title of the lesson?
Ronald Barthes, The Death of the Author.
Okay. Roland Barthes, Death of the Author. Okay.
Yes,
And in this essay, you will have the background concepts like structuralism and post-structuralism. Okay. So I'll be discussing them on par with the essay. Okay. So it is not a separate entity altogether. Okay. So we will start with the PPTs. Mute yourself, please. I request all the participants, please mute yourself. Is the screen visible?
No, ma'am.
How about now?
No,
But my screen says it is shared. Please check carefully.
The screen is visible.
Yeah, please mute yourselves. All of you should mute. There is a lot of disturbance. Somebody's microphone is on. Please mute. Yes, thank you. Okay. Oh, I did object of study. I'm sorry. Hmm. 1 second, I'll download from my other mail. Okay, shall we do this then? Because I have downloaded this. These are also my portion, right?
Ma'am, lesson name.
Lesson 7 to 9. Because this is also I am doing with you, right? Because I have downloaded this one. Let me. Is that okay with you?
okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we are doing Unit 2, Lesson 7 to 9, Ferdinand de Saussure, The Object of Study. Okay? Okay. Can anybody read the points one by one?
A Swiss linguist, 1857 to 1913,
Mm-hmm.
a scholar who taught Sanskrit literature
Mm-hmm.
and historical linguistics in the University of Geneva,
Mhm.
Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
One of the grammarians
Mm-hmm.
carried extensive research on the structure and evolution of number of languages in Indo-European languages.
Okay. May I know who read this?
Ma'am, Sumaira Tehsin.
Sumaira, what? See, you have read 4 points here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk anything on the last point because you completed your first year, right? And in your first year, you have Indo-European languages, right? If I am not wrong, you're your final years, right? All of your final year students now.
Yes, ma'am.
So in your first year, you must have come across Unit 1 of language paper 1, where you must have discussed what is Indo-European family of languages, right? Can you please comment on this, Sumaira? The last point, because this whole essay talks on language aspect. So if you are familiar with that, I think it will help all other participants to understand this essay in a better way.
Yes, ma'am. One
Yeah.
minute.
Yes, please. Sumaira is searching for the book. You just tell me whatever you read. You need not go in detail.
Ma'am, centum, satum, division. Two major branches are there, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Centum Satum division is there.
Not centum, centum and satum.
Sorry, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Indo-Irani, Hellenic, Italic, Armenian, Germanic, Albanian, Slavic,
What are all those?
Indo-European languages, ma'am.
What do you mean by Indo-European?
Indian and European.
What are European languages which are there in that family? Okay.
Celtic and Baltic, I think, ma'am.
Okay, because you wrote an exam first year long back and it is difficult to recollect, right? Any others from the class? Can you please comment on the evolution of English language?
Ma'am, Indo-European language is divided into two: Western group of language, Eastern group of language.
Very good. Mhm.
English belongs to Western Germanic language.
Very good.
Anglo-Frisian.
Mhm.
Anglo-Frisian language is divided into Old English, Middle English, and Modern English.
Okay.
In the Western group of language, Proto-Germanic language, Celtic, Italic, Hellenic, and Eastern group of language, Armenian, Albanian, Indo-Iranian, Baltic.
Okay. Can you please tell me the origin of English in the Indo-European family of languages?
Origin of English.
From which branch and how did it evolve?
It is from West Germanic language, ma'am.
Okay. And what is the Old English also called as?
Old English, Anglo-Saxon.
Very good.
Anglo-Saxon.
Anglo-Saxon. Okay.
Anglo-Saxon.
Okay. What are the important dialects of Old English?
There are 4, I think, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Among the 4, which dialect is very prominent?
Middle English, ma'am. The one which
No, I'm talking about the Old English dialects. Among the Old English dialects, which dialect?
East Saxon, some
West Saxon.
West Saxon. Yes, ma'am. West
Yeah.
Saxon.
So among the very good. And among the Middle English dialects?
Middle English.
Among the Middle English dialects, in Middle English also you have 4 significant
Famous writer, ma'am. His name. Middle English.
No, I'm talking about the dialect, not a writer. Which dialect is West Saxon is Old English, Middle English.
West Saxon is Old English. Yes.
West Saxon, not accent, Saxon.
Saxon.
In Middle English, what is the famous dialect among the 4 dialects which are prominent in the end of the 14th century?
Middle English, East Midland.
Very good. EMD, yes. East Midland dialect is a significant dialect. Very good. Others didn't attend any classes in the first year? Nobody is responding except who is answering? I don't know. Your name is not here. There is some code.
I'm Rameshwari, ma'am.
Rameshwari, except Rameshwari. Yeah, so we know in the evolution of English, okay, how English emerged from the Indo-European family of languages, right? And that we have extensively read in our first year. Yes, and in the second year, in this particular paper, Criticism and Theory, this particular essay, the object of study, speaks more on the language aspects of English. Okay, and you know, as the essay starts, the whole if you go through your instruction material, in this particular essay is divided into 3 lessons. Okay. Ferdinand de Saussure, the object of study, is in 3 lessons. Okay, so we are looking at the first lesson. Just go to look at the background of the essay. We must understand that de Saussure is a Swiss linguist. And who is a linguist? What is the job of a linguist? When I ask you a question, who is a teacher, what would be the answer?
The one who teaches.
When I ask you who is a
The one-
doctor, what is the answer?
One who speaks languages.
Yeah, something related to languages. Okay, person who does research in related to languages, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this essay, the object of study, written by Ferdinand de Saussure. If you go into the background of this particular essay, de Saussure is a Swiss linguist. Okay, and his period is already there here from 57 to 1930. And de Saussure is a scholar who taught Sanskrit literature. Can you imagine? Now, where is this literature familiar? Sanskrit literature? Where do you find
India,
Sanskrit
ma'am.
literature?
Yeah, ma'am.
In India.
Yeah. Is de Saussure an Indian?
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
He belongs to Switzerland.
Yeah, C is research commitment. Okay. De Saussure is a scholar who taught Sanskrit literature and historical linguistics in the University of Geneva. Okay. Switzerland. You just imagine his interest in historical linguistics, his interest in Sanskrit literature. That's the reason de Saussure is considered as one of the neo-grammarians. Okay, and de Saussure carried extensive research on the structure and evolution. Why structure and evolution? Because his area of interest is historical linguistics. Okay, so he carried extensive research on the structure and evolution of number of languages in Indo-European languages. Okay, so his research is towards language, and his research is towards historical aspect of the language. That's why you see evolution of number of languages. Okay, his research was also on the structure of the language. Okay, so Saussure's contribution to language, especially in terms of research, is towards Sanskrit literature and historical linguistics. Okay. So, as I also made a mention of Saussure as a neo-grammar. Yes.
We are unable to listen your voice. Please increase the volume.
This is full volume. Whatever voice is with me, it's full volume. How about now? I think I have to shout them.
No, ma'am, it's clear only.
Yeah. Okay, so as a neo-grammarian, Saussure proposed a theory called internal reconstruction. Okay, now internal reconstruction is a method, okay, proposed by Ferdinand de Saussure, okay, and it is considered as an important method in historical and diachronic linguistics. So, what do you mean by reconstruction? Already it is there, right? Construction, reconstruction. Reconstruction from earlier forms of the Proto-Indo-European. Okay, see, in your first year, you must have come across Grimm's Law, right? And what is so significant about Grimm's Law? Can any one of you tell me? What is so important about Grimm's Law? What is Grimm's Law? To be very simple and straightforward question. What is Grimm's Law?
It is based on the principle of relationship among Indo-European languages.
Or
While,
I
while
think Grimm's law is about the consonant shift of sound.
yes.
Yeah.
Grimm's law or first sound shifting. Okay, the first sound shift of the consonants, especially. Okay, so when Saussure proposed this internal reconstruction as a method or as an important method in historical linguistics, he was trying to reconstruct from earlier forms of the Proto-Indo-European, of course, which do not exist now. Hence, we come across Grimm's law. To just justify my statement, I will give you an example. Just please, if you have instruction material in front of you, please turn to page 81. You have the cognates chart there. Yeah. If any one of you have the cognates chart in front of you. Yeah. Can you please see how is the change taking place?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You see the consonants. Can you read for me what are the consonants which are there now? What are the three languages which are taken as examples for cognates?
Sanskrit, Latin, English.
Okay. And what is father in Sanskrit called as?
Pita,
In Latin?
Pater,
Tata.
English?
father.
Father.
So father is father in all languages, right? Okay. So such type of words are cognates. Okay. And you see the next example there? Number. 3 is called in different. Okay. Teen in Hindi. Okay. Moodu in Telugu. Okay. But it is 3, right? So look at the second example there. What sound is
Praya in
that?
Sanskrit.
Uh-huh.
Praya in Sanskrit.
Yes. Continue. If any one of you unmute, you have to continue.
Yes. Next in English, it is 3, madam.
Very good. And the next one?
K, it's sun.
Mm.
In Latin, canis. In English, hound.
Okay. So if you have gone through carefully in your first year about the Grimm's law, you could see how the changes, okay, from Grimm's law, how the cognates are taken and how they indicate a reconstructed sound. Okay. And now this reconstructed sound doesn't mean that it is an unacceptable or ungrammatical form. Okay. So you take da, dva, duo, tu, da to ta. How the consonant shift took place from da to ta. Okay. So when Saussure proposed this method of internal reconstruction, he identified it as an important method in historical linguistics. Okay, we have two approaches called diachronic and synchronic approaches to language. Diachronic approach is always focuses on the historical aspect of how English emerged, how is the evolution of English that has taken place. Okay, and in terms of synchronic approach, it talks about the descriptive aspect of the language. Okay, synchronic is descriptive aspect of the language, and diachronic is the historical aspect of the language. Okay, so when Saussure proposed this internal reconstruction method, he took the example of the cognates. Okay, he took the example of the cognates as an indication to use the reconstruction of certain sounds. Now, what is so important of Saussure? Okay, what is his contribution? Okay, now the concept of structuralism. Okay, that is also there as a form of one of the lessons in your unit 1. You have to please mute yourself. Okay, so contribution of Saussure to structuralism. Saussure paid attention to the descriptive or structural aspects of the language. Okay, so his contribution is specifically in 4 aspects. One, in diachronic and synchronic aspect. I already told you diachronic. Please mute. Please mute. Thank you. Okay, Saussure's contribution is in 4 aspects, that is diachronic and synchronic as one important aspect of structuralism. The second one is lingua and parole. The third one is looking at language as a system of signification. Okay, looking language as a system of signification. And the fourth aspect is syntagmatic and paradigmatic relations. Okay, and what are those? I'll be discussing them one by one. Okay, but you have to remember Saussure's contribution in terms of structuralism is towards these 4 aspects of language. Okay, diachronic and synchronic, 2, lingua and parole, 3, language as a system of signification, and 4, syntagmatic and paradigmatic relations. Now, what is this diachronic and synchronic approach? I already told you, diachronic, something related to historical aspect of the language. Okay, and synchronic related to the descriptive aspect of the language. So, Saussure realized the equal importance of these 2 approaches of language study. Okay, why? Because you see, in your first year, you studied about Old English. When you studied about the evolution of English, you must have studied about Old English, Middle English, and Modern English. And we all generally, it's a general understanding as for the convenience sake and a few historical records that Old English span is from 450 to 1100. Middle English from 1150 to 1500. And Modern English from 1500 to the present. Okay. So study across time is historical. Okay. Or diachronic study. Okay, so when I say that I am doing a diachronic study of English language, I am looking at all these aspects. Okay, of Old English period, Middle English period, and Modern English period. Okay, so study across time is historical or diachronic study. And David Lodge says that Saussure is widely regarded as the father of modern linguistics. Because of his extensive research and contribution to this area of study, Ferdinand de Saussure is regarded as the father of modern linguistics. Yes? Do you have a doubt? My God. I think you must have general instructions. Please mute your microphone. Where is that mute all option? Sophia, please mute yourself. Sophia. Okay, so study across time is historical or diachronic study. And what is synchronic study? And what is synchronic study? The study of the structure of modern English as a language. Okay, the study of the structure of English as a modern language that is used during the modern period is the synchronic or descriptive study of the language. Okay, so if you study language in terms of its sound system, okay, if I say sound system, how many sounds are there in English phonology?
44.
Okay, so that is synchronic study. Yes. If I say the grammatical system or the lexical system, this description of the structure of English is synchronic study. Okay. If I say evolution of English, what type of study is that?
Diachronic.
Diachronic. Why it is called diachronic?
Historically, it is evaluated.
Okay, because it has the history. Okay, that's why diachronic. So the grammar which we are learning, the structure of modern English grammar which we are learning today is the descriptive study of language. Okay, it is called the synchronic study of the language. Okay, the second aspect of Sauzur's Sauzur's classification of the object of study is lingua and parole. Okay, the first one was diachronic and synchronic aspect. The second one is lingua and parole. Now, what is lingua? Can you read, please? Any one of you? Any one of you, please unmute and read.
Ma'am,
Yeah. Yes, sorry.
language is the entire system of language.
Mhm.
It never manifests itself fully in speech or writing of a single individual speaker.
Mhm.
It exists in the collective consciousness of the speech community concerned. Example is chess game. Two players will use all the rules of a chess in a single game.
Mhm.
That's why language is totality of the rules of chess.
Did you understand, Haripriya? What did you read? What did you read just now? What you have
Yes, ma'am.
read just now? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you understand?
So it is the rules of a language.
Okay.
But
So
we will not use the total rules in a game.
okay, very good. Okay. A game can be full. See, if you are playing a chess game, you can win the game by using only few limited rules of the game, right? But you are not using all the rules of a chess game in one particular game only. But you are aware of the fact that there are so many rules for a chess game, right? So now to differentiate between lingua and parole, we are looking at lingua is the entire system of language. Okay, lingua is the entire system of language where lingua never manifests itself fully in speech or writing of a single individual speaker. If I just asked Haripriya to read now, right? So did Haripriya use all her skills of English in reading this slide? Did she use all her skills of English or the rules of English in reading this slide?
No, madam.
Yeah, okay. So that is what is lingua. Okay, so it is a collective consciousness of the speech community. Okay, our concern is English speech community. So it is a collective consciousness of the speech community concerned. Okay, so no two players or no two speakers of a speech community use all the rules of language. Okay, so lingua is the entire system of language.
ఏం మంచిగా కాదు అదేమంటారు తాత తెలుసా
రాయితే అన్నమైన అన్నట్లు ఉంటాయి మంచిగా ఉన్నారు సార్ ఏం అయితే మా తన నోట్లో ఉన్నాయి అంటే చెప్తాను చెప్తాను
మొన్న ఐటంగా
అన్న ట్వంటీ రోజు అంటే ఫంక్షనల్ చేస్తాం చేయండి
Number number number. Please be aware of what is happening. We are in the class, okay? Okay, lingua is the entire system of language. Then what is parole? Now, an individual native speaker's use of a given language is called parole. We just took an example of chess game, right? Two players cannot use all the rules of a chess game in a single play or a single game. Okay, so a single game played by two individual players is something like a parole of the language. Did you get the difference now? Yes. Okay, so lingua is a system of the entire language. Parole is a native speaker's use of a given language. Okay, an individual native speaker's use. Okay, so a single game, as an example of chess game, is a parole, something like the parole of the language. We have seen diachronic and synchronic. We have seen lingua and parole in the object of study by Ferdinand de Saussure. However, to understand the overall structure of the language, okay, we must definitely examine a large number of instances of parole. Okay, so to understand the overall structure of the language, we have to understand or we have to examine large number of examples of an individual native speaker's use of a given language. It can be any language to that extent. Okay. Now, what is Saussures' suggestion in terms of this? Okay, he suggests the object of study in linguistics is lingua, okay, and not parole. Okay, that is his suggestion. So it is lingua, it's a system, okay, a complete, okay, the entire system of language. That is his suggestion, okay, and not parole. Even though lingua can be reached only through a large corpus of data, how do we conclude or how do we come to a conclusion of a lingua with number of instances of parole, right? Individual native speakers usage of language. Though lingua can be reached only through a large corpus of data that is drawn from number of instances of parole. Okay, what happens is so in terms of suggestion, we see lingua as significant aspect than parole. Though parole plays a very significant role in coming to conclusion about a lingua in the object of study. Okay, so this is second aspect. Now the third aspect of the object of study is language as a system of signification. Okay, now the third aspect that Saussure is trying to draw our attention to is language as a system of signification. Okay, Saussure observed that language is a complex network of signs. Okay, not SCIENC, signs. Okay, signals. A sign for Saussure is not a single entity. Okay, but it is always in relation. And what is a relation now? A relation is between a signified and its signifier. You must remember. Okay, these are technical terms. You cannot say that I don't know what is signifier and what is signified. Okay, so when you talk the third aspect of SAZU's the object of study, you must definitely remember these two technical terms. What are the technical terms now? Signified, signifier, and signified. Okay, and how do we get those terms? We get those terms in terms of the signs. Okay, the network of signs that is observed in the language as per SAZU's understanding of the language as a system of signification. Now I will tell you the example. You see here, what is the example which is given here? What is the word which is given here?
Tree.
Tree. How many sounds are there? How many consonants are there? How many
Three sounds, ma'am. Three sounds.
Two.
What are they? Who said two? Can you tell me what are the sounds?
T. R.
You are telling me the letters. I want you to tell me the sounds. Sounds.
Ta. A.
Ta.
E.
Yes, Reshma, continue. Ta.
Ta. A. E.
It's tree, right?
Ta.
It is not tree. Tree.
Ta. A. E. Me.
No. It's ta, ra, and e.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
How many sounds? It's ta,
Three sounds.
ra.
R. E. Sound. Ra. E. Ra. E.
Where is the sound, Reshma? It is ta, ra,
Ta. Ra.
and
E.
e. So how many? Three sounds.
Three sounds.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Three sounds. And what is the sequence of sounds here? First, it's a consonant. Then ra. Consonant or vowel?
Consonant.
Consonant. And the last sound is e.
Oval.
Vowel. So the word tree has certain, please note yourself. The word tree has sequence of sounds. Okay. And those sequences, consonant, consonant, and a vowel. Okay. And it signifies, it signified a natural object in the external world. If I say tree, immediately my eyes goes towards a tree which is there on campus, huge trees on campus, right? And it is the external reality. Do you agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I utter that word tree, it signified a natural object in the external world, but it has no scientific relationship between the word tree and the object tree. Okay, who said that it should be tree? Okay, why can't it be a what? A table? And who said this is a mouse? Okay, and of course, who invented this must have told that because this looks in the shape of the mouse, it is mouse. So our point here is, our understanding here is new Galaxy A20. So our understanding is, when a word is uttered, it has sequence of sounds and it signified a natural object in the external world. But it has no scientific relationship between the word tree and the object tree. With the help of this example, SAZU looked upon language as a system of signs. Okay? system of signs, and each sign being a relation and product of the process of signification. Okay, now what is a signification? It is an object. Did you follow this point? If you are okay, then I will move on to the next slide.
Okay, ma'am.
Last line, can you explain, ma'am?
The last point.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when we gave an example of tree as a sequence of sounds, okay, and tree signified a natural object in the external world, which means I can see that tree as a natural object, okay, which is visible to my eyes in the external world. But it has no scientific relationship between the word tree and the object tree. Okay. So there are very serious about who called it tree, and therefore some theories from the origin of language or the origin of the words which came into existence. You must have read about the theories of language in the first year. Okay. So Saussure looked upon language as a system of signs. Now, who asked me to explain?
Ma'am, Sumaira.
Sumaira. If I say Sumaira is a good participant. So I'm using Sumaira. Three sounds. I is. Okay, one syllable. One syllable. Good, one syllable, monosyllabic. Participant. Participant. Three syllables. So I am giving you a string of sounds, a sequence of sounds which signifies certain meaning. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you follow? So now whatever words I am uttering are some meaningful words, right? That's
Yes,
why
ma'am.
language is called as a system. Okay, language is a system. When we say language is a system, we are trying to convey systematic meaning through certain sounds. And as per English phonology, we differentiate them as consonants and vowels and 44 sounds and all those things you know in your first year. Okay, here our concentration is only theoretical aspect, where language, as per Saussure, is considered as a system of signification, where Saussure is looking at a sign. As per Saussure, is not a single entity, but it is always a relation between signified and signifier. As tree signifies something. Okay, signifier and signified. When I say Mahatma Gandhi, what comes to your mind?
Freedom fighter.
Something comes to your mind, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So signifier and signified. When
Yes.
I say when I draw a national flag, a tricolored national flag, our flag, if I say, what comes to your mind?
Independent.
Something, right?
India.
Yeah. So something. So what is happening now? When we consider language as a system of signification, okay, we are looking at sign as an entity in its relation between signified and its signifier. Hope I cleared.
Yes, ma'am. Now it's clear.
Yes. Okay. Now the last aspect of the objective study, as per Sazu's understanding, is syntagmatic and paradigmatic. Okay. Now, what is syntagmatic and what is paradigmatic? Now, language, as per Saussure, consists of elements with different kinds of relations. Different kinds of relations in its structure. For example, can you read this first sentence? The example which is there in the sentence.
My uncle bought a car.
How many words are there?
5.
5 words. And how are they related now? related to one other. If I remove my, if I close my, okay, or if I close bought, or if I close car, you will not have a proper meaning, right? So all of them are related to one another in a linear order.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this relation to one another in a linear order is called, they are related to one another syntagmatically. So this is called syntagmatic relations. So always syntagmatic relations are horizontal. Okay, it is like this. Clear? Okay, the
Yes,
next one is paradigmatic. Now look at this example. See these three examples. The boy hit the dog. Mary met Peter. She published her novel. And all these which are marked in red, okay, which are marked in red are verbs. Okay, so the above examples are, they are of two grammatical paradigms. Okay, you see the bold ones. The bold ones, okay, functions as subjects. Okay, that is one grammatical paradigm. And here the red marked ones functions as verbs. So this is another grammatical paradigm. Therefore, paradigmatic relations are vertical. Now, in all these three sentences, okay, the paradigmatic relations are vertical. Okay, so one grammatical paradigm to the other. Saussure proposed that linguistic elements are related to one another either syntagmatically or paradigmatically. Okay, so when he talks about the relations of the words, okay, the linguistic elements, he calls them as linguistic elements. Okay, they are in two paradigms. Okay, in one in horizontal and another one is vertical. And in the vertical, he considers about subjects as one grammatical paradigm and verbs as another grammatical paradigm. So he says all these linguistic elements are related to one another either syntagmatically, that is horizontally, or paradigmatically, that is vertical. Okay. So Saussure felt that almost all, that is the cultural, the social, the economic, the political, and the linguistic system of a speech community can be characterized as systems of signification. Okay. So semiology is nothing but the science which studies about this systems of signification. So through these four aspects of analysis, okay, Saussure felt that in whatever society we are living, the society can be considered, or the linguistic system of a speech community can be characterized as a systems of signification. How? In its cultural aspect, in its social aspect, in its economic aspect, and its political and linguistic aspect. Okay. So what is semiology? Different elements in each system acquire significance or meaning. And these different elements in each system that acquire significance or meaning by virtue of being members of that particular system. Now, this example will make your job very easy. Almost all of us are very familiar with these traffic signals. right? And red means we have to stop our vehicle. If we don't stop, the challenge will come to your home. Yellow means you have to get ready, that you will be ready to go now. Okay. Green is go. When independently, if we consider these colors, okay, independently red, yellow, green have no individual or special meanings. But when they are used in traffic signals, they acquire certain meaning. Okay, this meaning that is being acquired in the system. Now, what is the system now? The system is traffic rules or traffic signal system. Okay, these red, yellow, and green, they acquire its what meanings, special meanings, I mean, in the system of traffic signals. Okay, hence, in language and literature, linguistic units acquire special meanings. Okay, and these special meanings are seen as the members of identifiable systems. Followed? Now, what is semiology?
Yes, ma'am.
Different elements in each system that acquire its own meanings by virtue of being the members of that particular system. Okay, this is the red, yellow, and green get their meaning, I mean the special meaning, only by virtue of being one among the traffic signals. As independent colors, they are nothing. Okay, just known as colors. But they get their meaning only when they are identified in certain system. Did you follow? Okay, so semiology is seen in the cultural, social, economic, and political aspects. Okay, therefore, Sazo says language and literature. Okay, language and literature. In language and literature, linguistic units acquire special meanings as members of some identifiable systems. Now, what are the identifiable systems? The cultural system is one identifiable system. The social system is one identifiable system. The economic system is one identifiable system. The political system is one identifiable system. Okay? So, all these systems, with the help of certain linguistic speech community, which is characterized as systems of signification, gets its meaning only when they are in the system. Followed? Yeah, this is one lesson of the object of study. How much time do I have? Oh, I can do one more lesson. Do you want a break? Shall I continue?
Continue, ma'am.
Okay.
Continue, ma'am.
Yes, I will do the next lesson.
Please continue, ma'am.
Sure, sure.
Continue, ma'am. So, in the first lesson, what did we discuss? You have to tell me. Then only I can continue in the next lesson. What did we discuss in the first lesson?
Day before yesterday, ma'am.
No, what? The object of study.
The major contributions of CISA to
Sazo.
structuralism and general. Sazo,
Yes.
sorry.
Ferdinand de Saussures' contribution in terms of four important aspects. And what are those four important aspects?
Diachronic and synchrony, language and parole. And the third one is language is a system of signification.
Okay,
Last one, syntagmatic and paradigmatic.
very good. I'm happy you are listening now. Okay, the next one. Now we are looking at defining analysis of the essay objective study in defining language. Is the screen visible?
Not yet, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
One second, let me have a cup of water.
Ma'am, actually, a small doubt is there, ma'am. Hello?
Ma'am, pen to drink water.
Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, so in the first set of points, we were looking at a background understanding of Sazu's contribution to language.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Shailaja.
Yeah, I have a little bit doubt, ma'am. In the last aspect, you said about this is hence related in a horizontal way. So you have given an example. My uncle bought a car. So in that, how horizontal way is represented, ma'am? I am unable to catch up that point.
See, if you are a math student, you have vertical axis and horizontal axis, right? X-axis and Y-axis.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, x-axis down and y-axis straight, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
x-axis down part is horizontal only, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So the line which is written here, 5 words, is horizontal only, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Got it, Shaila?
Yeah. Okay, then even the boy hit the dog also in a horizontal way, no, madam.
Yeah, I understand. But we were looking at 3 set of examples there. Okay, 3 sentences. And I marked words which are in subject as in bold and words which are in verb in red.
Yes,
We are looking it in a vertical way. We are looking it in a vertical way. Okay, it doesn't mean that there is no horizontal line in that. But when we are trying to analyze it, we are looking at 2 types of approaches of Sazu.
Okay.
In paradigmatic and syntagmatic. Cool. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now analysis of the object of study. See, when I start presenting, I can't see any of the faces. Okay. Aparna, mute yourself. Aparna, mute. Okay. Why this window is not going? Okay. So, when we analyze the essay, the object of study, Sazur is raising 2 important questions. Okay, so we are now looking at the actual essays analysis. Okay, after looking at the background of the study in terms of structuralism, now we are looking at how the analysis of the object of study is done, okay, by this particular essay in terms of defining language. So Sazur raises 2 questions. Now, what is question number 1? Can you read, please? Satyayam.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read, please?
What is the
Linguistics.
ma'am, can I?
Okay, read, Annapurna.
What is that linguistics sets out to analyze?
Okay. What is the second question?
What is the actual object of study?
Okay. So through this essay, Sazur is raising two important questions. The first question is, what is that linguistics sets out to analyze? The second question is, what is the actual object of study? Say, if I ask Annapurna, why are you doing a MA from distance education? What is the answer, Annapurna?
Yes, ma'am. I want to improve my skills in English subject.
Okay. Only that answer?
And I want to get a good job. Now I
Okay.
am
Yes.
in teaching.
So, yeah. So she has, so even Sazur, which he raises two important questions. And what are these two important questions? What is that linguistics sets out to analyze? The second question is, what is the actual object of study? Okay. So with these two questions, any linguistic phenomenon has two mutually complementary dimensions. Okay. And what are those dimensions? Perception of the syllable in its sound system. The second problem is that language is not only individual phenomenon, but also social phenomenon. Okay. So when we say perception of the syllable in its sound system, now all of you are aware, as per your MA first year, because you have completed your MA first year in your distance education mode and you are in your final year, you at least you are aware of the English phonology. Am I right? You are aware of the English phonology and the phonological aspects of English language. Yeah. So if you are aware of that, can I get a few points on what is syllable and how it is identified? Hello, all of you here? Hello.
Knowing the vowels in the word, ma'am.
Okay, Shailaja says knowing the vowels. Is it Shailaja?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Shailaja, can you tell me how many syllables are there in your name?
Ma'am, AIOU 5.
I'm asking you how many?
Three syllables.
Okay, Shyam Sundar says 3 syllables of Shailaja's name. How many syllables, Shyam Sundar, in your name?
46. I'm not sure. Either 44 or 46.
34 or 36?
44.
Ma'am is asking about his name.
Three syllable.
Okay, Shyam Sundar, how many syllables?
3, madam.
3.
What are they?
3, madam.
What are they?
Shyam, Sundar.
Very good. How do you divide a syllable, Shyam Sundar?
Madam,
You said exactly correct. Okay.
According to the pronunciation.
This you have done in your first year. You can't say that I don't know. You must answer my question. So continue this slide.
I'm pronouncing that word, ma'am.
How you pronounce it? Okay.
Sounds, ma'am. Sounds, ma'am.
Unit of sound, ma'am.
Very good. Unit of sound.
Yes.
Sounds.
Okay. So when I say sham, sun, that one breath plus. Okay. I am pausing at my convenient level where there is no obstruction at my stopping, right? Yeah. When I say cat, how many syllables?
1, 2,
1.
Who said
One,
two?
ma'am.
Who said
3, ma'am. 3, ma'am.
2, ma'am, 2. Cat.
Sai, can you please tell me how to and what are they?
Cat.
So I am pausing at ca and telling ta. Am I pronouncing that word as cat or cat?
Cat.
So how many syllables?
2, ma'am.
Reshma is saying 2.
3, ma'am.
Reshma says 3. What are they, please?
One syllable.
1, ma'am.
Only one syllable, ma'am.
Only one.
Ma'am, 2 syllables.
Reshma, please tell me 3. How are they 3 in cat? How?
Sounds 3, ma'am.
See, my class is until 1 o'clock, right? Or 12:30?
Up to 1, madam.
Up to 1, okay. Reshma says 3. I want Reshma to answer my question. How do you say that there are 3 syllables?
Sounds 3, ma'am. Sound.
So don't be confused between sounds and syllable. So whatever Shyam Sundar said is right. Of course, cat has 3 sounds, Reshma, but 1 syllable. It's a monosyllabic word. Okay? Words.
Okay.
Words. Set of sounds is a word. Words into syllables. Okay. For example, if I say, see here, you take the own example here. Language. Language. How many sounds?
2
La sounds. La, a.
Language, ma'am. 2 syllables. Language.
Okay, syllables are 2, but sounds?
3 sounds.
What are they? Okay,
Language.
Okay, if any one of you, please, if you have a notebook and pen in front of you, please write it very big. Okay, big bold sounds, and show me on the screen. Let me check if you are writing correctly, so that my energy of asking you would not go in waste. Any one of you, if you have a notebook and pen in front of you, please transcribe language and show me on the screen.
Ma'am, we are not able to do that.
Option is not there for students, ma'am.
Why?
For sharing screen.
Sharing screen permission is not there and video permission is also disabled, ma'am.
Oh. Only voice is allowed?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, very good. Otherwise, we wouldn't complete the syllabus if we all are permitted. As of now, you are most of you are unaware of what is happening. Sometimes you are. Anyway, so we know. So at home, you please look at that aspect and see how sounds are different from syllables. And the basic thing we have to understand is sounds into words, words into syllables. So words, there are words of single syllable, monosyllabic words like cat, bat, fat, chat, mat. Okay. Disyllabic like English. Okay. Devil, something like that. And trisyllabic, 3 syllables. Polysyllabic, more than 3 syllables. Okay. Okay. So when Sazu is defining language with the help of two important questions that he raises, okay, we understand that any linguistic phenomenon has complementary dimension, two mutually complementary dimension. And what are those? Perception of the syllable in its sound system, okay, and we have to understand that language is not only individual phenomena, but it is also a social phenomenon. And every language has a past and a present. Okay, that's why languages are languages always evolve. Okay, they are not in the state of static position. So, what is the object of study for the linguist? Okay, after defining the object of study of a language, then what is the object of study for the linguist? Should a linguist study only of the past, considering historical aspect, or should the study be of present, considering the descriptive aspect? Okay, so when this fundamental question arises, the object of study in linguistics becomes problematic. The object of study in linguistics becomes problematic to identify. So, Sazu says one solution. Okay, the linguist must take the study of linguistic structure as his primary concern. And later on, when it is related to all other manifestations of language to it. So, primary concern should be the structure, then all other manifestations of the language. Okay, considering the historical and descriptive aspect of the language. Now, what are the problems that are involved in identifying the object of study in linguistics? He brings forth 4 important problems. Okay, 1, object of study is not given in advance, unlike other sciences. Okay, and the second problem is language has dualities. Okay, like dualities like auditory, okay, which has the articulatory, or psychological, that has physical aspect. Okay, articulatory and psychological, auditory and physical aspect, that has dualities. The third aspect, or the third problem that arises in the object of study in linguistics is language has individual as well as social aspects. And the fourth one, language has historical and descriptive dimensions. Okay, so then Sazu's linguistic structure comes. Sazu says it is not identical with language, but only one essential part of language. Okay, and a social product of human language society. So when language is looked at its entirety, we have to look at its physical, physiological, psychological, individual, and collective aspects in terms of its structure. So Sazu also says linguistic structure should be given a place of pride. Okay, structure should be given an important place in the study of language. And this is what he justifies with the help of a quote. Whether natural or not, the faculty of articulating words is put to use only by means of linguistic instrument. Okay, and this linguistic instrument is created and provided by the society. Therefore, it is not absurdity to say that it is linguistic structure which gives language. Okay, so when it comes to linguistic structure, we have to understand lingua I already gave you the difference between lingua and parole. Now, lingua is a collective system, right? And parole is an individual ability. All rules in a game is lingua. One single play by two individual players is a parole of a language. So, when it comes to linguistic structure, we have to understand that it is a system of language collectively possessed by all the members of the speech community. Okay, and a single individual speech cannot represent the entire linguistic structure of a given language. Okay, so an individual decisions cannot become a policy decision. Okay, if it is good for the entire society, the policy is emerged by the government, either in the state or the central. So also in the language, an individual's ability or an individual's speech, a single individual speech cannot represent the entire linguistic structure. Okay, so parole is only an individual ability. Okay, so Saussure gives importance to the linguistic structure in spite of its heterogeneity, because individual speakers differ from a single individual speech can be different from one individual to another individual. Okay, but all are considered in a lingua. Parole should be considered in a lingua. So Saussure gives importance to the linguistic structure, okay, in spite of its heterogeneity, as the structure is homogeneous and it is a whole, that is a system of distinct signs giving distinct ideas. Okay, so Saussure gives importance to the linguistic structure in spite of its heterogeneity. You know the difference between heterogeneous and homogeneous. What is the difference?
Homogeneous means one, heterogeneous means many.
Now, the participants of MA final year CD, is it a homogeneous group or a heterogeneous group?
Homogeneous.
Heterogeneous. Many of the.
Whoever said homogeneous, why do you say that it is homogeneous?
We belongs to same group, madam. That's why it is homogeneous.
Okay. All those who said heterogeneous, why do you say that it is heterogeneous?
Because we are different students.
Okay. In a homogeneous class of participants with almost, I think, how many participants? I didn't see the number. Almost 84 participants. But all 84 participants are not same, right? Heterogeneous learning or heterogeneous atmosphere in a homogeneous class of MA final year participants group. Okay, so Saussure gives importance to the linguistic structure in spite of its heterogeneity, as a structure is homogeneous. Okay, and as a structure it is a whole, that is a system of distinct signs giving distinct ideas. Now you know the term distinct, right? What do you mean by distinct?
Different.
Okay, different signs and giving different ideas, but all of them are in a system, right? And this system is a homogeneous structure. Got my point? Okay, though parole as individual ability represents individual speech, okay, in a linguistic structure of a given language, lingua definitely is a system of language that has collective possession of the members of the speech community. So, Saussure gives importance to the linguistic structure in spite of its heterogeneity. Why heterogeneity? Because there is parole. And in spite of its heterogeneity, the structure is homogeneous. Why the structure is homogeneous? Because of its lingua. Okay, because language is a collective system of a speech community. Okay, so Sazo's characteristics of language. Okay, with the help of all the analysis which we have done in terms of the object of study, defining language. Please mute. Pravalika, please mute. Okay, so in spite of all these aspects of defining language, there are few features that can be considered. Okay, number one, language is a well-defined entity where a speaker should acquire from his or her childhood. Okay, so language, you will not speak language when you are 15 years old. You'll start speaking a language only from your childhood. Okay, probably whenever you are months baby, with certain meaningful sounds sometimes and certain non-meaningful sounds which are rejected in the course of your growth. Okay, if you say do 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 do, your mama will understand that she must feed you and she will bring dudu. Okay, that is identifiable sound. Okay, and there are certain sounds for which your mother will not respond and therefore they are rejected, unidentifiable sounds. So what is happening now? Language is a well-defined entity where a speaker should acquire, okay, from their childhood. Number two, when we have to consider the characteristics of a language as per Sazo's analysis of the object of study, the second point is language can be studied independently. Okay, though a language is dead with the help of written records. See, all languages are not in use now. Okay, there are dead languages, which means we don't use them in our daily life. But that language can also be studied independently with the help of the written records. This is a second feature which he brings forth. The third one is language structure is homogeneous. Okay, structure is homogeneous, though language itself is heterogeneous. Okay, and the last point is general elements of the language can be identified with the help of writing grammar books and compiling dictionaries. So if I ask you what is the meaning of schizophrenia, what would you do now? If you know, you will tell. If you don't know, what would you do?
Google it.
Google it. In what? Because Google is available now, you will Google it. But if there is no Google?
Silent.
Huh? Look at that.
Dictionaries.
We use dictionaries, ma'am.
Dictionary. Okay. If I have to say how many types of patterns are there in English, in the structure of English grammar, what would you do? You would refer to any one of the important or significant grammar books of English, right? So, general elements of the language can be identified with the help of writing grammar books. Because the books are available now, we are referring to them. Suppose if there are no grammar books, suppose if there are no dictionaries, what would be our situation? Okay, just imagine. I leave it to your imagination. So what is happening now? Sazo's analysis of the object of study emphasizes on the characteristics of language. Okay, and among the characteristics, the fourth important aspect is general elements of the language can be identified with the help of writing grammar books and compiling dictionaries. Okay, so these are the four important characteristics of the language where Sazo is trying to analyze in the essay, The Object of Study, where he defines language as a well-defined entity, okay, where speaker acquires it from his or her childhood. Number two, language can be studied independently. Even if the language is dead, we can study it independently with the help of the written records. Number three, language structure is homogeneous, though language itself is heterogeneous. And the last characteristic of a language, as per the essay, is it can be identified with the help of grammar books and compiling dictionaries. Now, human affairs and languages. And this is called as semiology. Now, what is semiology? I already discussed this in my earlier slides, a lesson before that which I have discussed. Study of role of science in social life. I already gave an example of Mahatma Gandhi. I already gave an example of national flag. Okay. So, human affairs and languages. Study of role science in social life as per Sazo, and superior to other social sciences, semiology. System of signification through language. Okay, and it helps in studying literature as it signifies rights and customs of the society. So if I have to say semiology in whatever text you take, okay, literary text, I am trying to look at language through literature, okay, where I am studying literature as some signification of the rights and the customs that are prevalent in the society. That's the reason human affairs and languages, when we consider the human affairs and work at the object of study in terms of defining language to human affairs, semiology plays a significant role, okay, where it considers as superior to all other social sciences. I shall stop here and take a break for my final year class, my lunch, and prepare for the next session. I hope you understood today's sessions.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, prepare.
Yes, ma'am.
We take a lot of efforts to do.
Ma'am, can you share the screens once again?
Which screen?
Ma'am, from starting, can you share the screen?
No.
What you prepared?
You could have done that, no? From the beginning?
I missed first 10 seconds.
Thank you so
Starting
much.
first 10 seconds.
Okay. Is it visible now? Can you see it?
No.
Can you see it?
No.
I don't know. I missed it. I have closed it. I have to go back again now. If anybody, any others, if any others have taken a screenshot, you please share with her. Reshma,
Okay, ma'am.
you can take from them. Okay? Yeah, because I have closed it, I have to again start from the beginning. Okay, then see you in my next session.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.